So another Hindi film is All the News at Present. Sudipto Sen's The Kerala Story, much like last year's The Kashmir Files, is making headlines, creating controversies in equal measure. Starring Ada Sharma, Yogita Bhiyani, Siddhi Idnani and Sonia Balani, The Kerala Story claims to tell the story of women radicalized by Islamic fundamentalists in Kerala. It received largely poor reviews, but it is scripting a success story at the box office. Well, it's making news elsewhere also. As we are in the middle of Karnataka elections, it has received support from the ruling BJP government, with Prime Minister Narendra Modi citing the film in his speech. The way states are reacting to the film is along the expected lines. It's tax-free in Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh and banned by the government of West Bengal. The Kerala CM tagged it as propaganda, while Tamil Nadu theatre owners decided to pull it from theatres altogether. So today we have with us the Indian Express film critic Shubhra Gupta, and we will be discussing the Kerala story. Hi Shubhra, how are you?
Hi Jyoti, all well? All set?
So let's set aside all the noise around the Kerala story. You watched the film, so tell me, what do you think of it cinematically as a reviewer?
As a reviewer, I would say that, and as a reviewer, as a critic of cinema, as a critic of as a critique of what it is trying to say, I would say that the film is both poorly made as well as poorly performed. Mm-hmm. It's almost as if what it's trying to say subsumes everything else, which is so much a part of a film goer's experience, because nowhere do you really find that there has been effort made in creating a cinematic experience for the viewer. It's almost like, let's keep it as basic and as aside from the main point of view, which is basically just to hammer through this the point that the film is trying to make, that it is about these 32,000 women, which the figure has been dialed back from already, but this 32,000 figure is now stuck in everybody's minds. And it's almost like that. It's almost like a magic figure that the filmmakers came up with to begin with. And that figure is it's even if it is not part of the film's narrative anymore, the film's narrative is very clear. That the Muslim man is trying to radicalize the Hindu woman or the Christian woman. And this is something which is deeply not just troubling, it's also patently not the right picture, because there is nothing to say that Kerala, that is tarah ka kuch ho raha hai Kerala mein. So I would say that it's almost as if the performances and the production values and the other tech specs that are so much a part of a film going experience have been not really put aside, but not really taken care of, almost to the point that that's secondary. The first point and the only point is to ram through the point that the film is trying to make, and that is it goes at it hammer and tongs, without any let up, without any breathing spaces being created, without any nuance at all being created by the story, where the Muslims are these bad, evil, intimidating, dark figures, and everybody else around them are victims, are basically people who have no agency, people who have no tools with which to actually parse this information that is coming at them. They are just these victims, and those are the aggressors. It's a binary that the film is trying to set up, and I think that is truly, it's not the truth.
That brings me to my next question. A lot of people have pointed it out on social media and otherwise that, a section of Indian audiences are not as evolved as one would want them to be. And films where the agenda is so clear exactly what they want to, as you said, they are trying to portray. What are your thoughts on it? Just how harmful can something like this be?
This to me has always been a problematic statement by it's a problematic statement by whoever happens to use it for whichever purpose that they are trying to use, which I mean that when a film comes along which is in alignment with the way you want the world to go along, then you will say, oh, this film is brilliant. If it is not, then you will say, oh, this film is a problem. It will impact the minds of the young and the minds of the people who have not evolved enough. I think that's fairly disingenuous. I don't see how a nation which has been making movies and consuming movies for the last 100 years, how can you call the audience some people who are unevolved? Here we have, before social media came along, before any of these very quick reviews that we see outside, now the ecosystem is seeded by reviews before even the film is out. I remember a time when people wouldn't come into a first show because they had smelt the film. They knew that it was a bummer. Nobody would show up. I think the Indian audience is absolutely, they are the smartest in the world. Of course, there is a certain kind of filmmaking traditions that we follow. And if you suddenly implant a totally alien film into this, you might not get the audience. But to say that people are not evolved, I think is like I said, it's disingenuous. It's nothing to do with the truth.
Also, you brought up the figure of 32,000, which was later changed to, that the Kerala story is actually based on the story of 3 women. And the film's producer, Vipul Shah, said today that, the number doesn't matter, whether it's 32,000 or 32, the stories needed to be told. That is his comment on the whole confusion or whatever they were trying to do with this. So how do you tell facts from agenda in a film like this?
Oh, that's it's very interesting, that question. And it depends entirely upon which side of the divide you are. All right. If you are against this so-called narrative, you'll say, ye to bilkul pura agenda hai. And if it is in sync with how you think, you'll say, this is absolutely the truth. We will take all our family. This is how it should be. Sab bachon ko dikhani chahiye. This is strictly for adult film. So, but I know people, I know the conversation around this film is, let's take our children and show them the truth. So the thing with the truth and the non-truth, I can't even call it falsehood because, it's all so subjective. But what I would say is that if you are telling me that 32,000 was a figure that you were not sure of, then my question to you is, why did you even use it? Where did you get it from? Right? And you have dialed back on it so fast, but the damage, if you can call it that, and I do call it that, has been done because everyone has that 32,000 figure stuck in their heads. Even though now people are talking about it as 3, and it's itni sare ladkiyan. It's like, whoever you speak to, it's like so many girls who are innocent girls were radicalized, were taken off to ISIS camps. And, this is the story that we need our people to be aware of now. Having said that, yes, it is a story that needs to be told. Of course it is. Stories do need to be told. But there is a certain responsibility that comes with the kind of numbers that you're playing with. Because then if it was only 3, then how can you then call it the Kerala story? It's a story from Kerala, which is a very different thing, or not even a story from Kerala. It's a story that's based in Kerala, right? So there is a difference there's a huge difference between these two things. So I think when people are talking about how it doesn't make a difference, I think figures, facts, all of these things, if used in a certain sensitive way, if used in a way that binaries are not set up, damaging binaries are not set up, I think that's perfect. But when you are not sure, then you have to be really, really careful about playing with this.
That's a fine point you're making there. It is not the Kerala story, given the numbers they are finally, accepted. Now, the way the people are reacting, especially politicians are reacting to the film. The film has been banned in one state, and the other state, which is Tamil Nadu, the theater owners decided to pull it back, saying that there were some security concerns and people were not really coming to watch it. Now, what I want to understand is this is a similar rhetoric which played with another big film of last year, which was Lal Singh Chaddha, the Amir Khan film. It faced a lot of boycott demands. In fact, a PIL was filed, demanding that the film should be banned. So is ban ever the answer, especially in a country like India where censorship is already there for films? And once the censors have passed the film, I believe it is extra constitutional if you are then talking about banning a film. What are your thoughts on this?
I think very clearly I'm on the side of never banning anything at all. I mean, banning is never the answer. It's never been the answer. It's not just that this regime or this government is trying to ban films. Banning has always been the easy go-to option for governments in the past. It's always been like, okay, this is a problem, let's ban it. Not just films, but anything to do with the arts. There are books which are banned, there are plays which are banned, there are, comics, stand-up comics which are now being banned or cancelled as the go-to phrase now is. What's the point? Because in this today's hyper-connected world, we are always going to find ways and means to get something which we know is not accessible straight up, because we then get curious because we want to know what it is about that film or about that piece of art that has elicited such a response from a power that has alluded to itself the power to say what you can watch and what you cannot watch. We are adult people. We are able to do so many things. We are expected to do many things, think for ourselves. We have critical faculties. We should be able to exercise those faculties, exercise a choice and say, okay, this is a film that promises me this. Do I want to really watch this film? Yes or no? It's my choice. By banning it, what is the point? Because it is first of all, it is pointless because somebody will always find a print somewhere. People will, get a pirated film, print from somewhere. And here I am talking about piracy. It's completely illegal, but this is exactly, we know that this is what happens. So I think when it comes to banning, I think bans should be banned. There should be no banning at all. It's a slippery slope. You start banning this, then somebody will come up and say, oh, but you banned that one, so ban this. So where do you then stop? Where do you make, where do you draw the line?
So if somebody is thinking of whether to watch the Kerala story or not, what will be your suggestion?
I would say definitely. I think all films should be watched. Absolutely. Whether it is Lal Singh Chaddha or whether it is Kerala story or anything. I mean, we could be talking about any films, controversial, not controversial. I think the idea of someone having put together a film, which is not just about the people who are on screen or the story that is being told, but it's also a work, the kind of a labor that goes into making a film. Thousands of people are involved in that film, and whether you want to see it or not is, I think, should be left to the viewer. I think we are now completely, not now, we've always been, a very smart audience. We know what we want. And if we want to sample a particular kind of thali, where everything is in front of us and we choose to have a little more of something and not so much, it's completely our choice. Dekho, khul ke dekho, but absolutely, and get yourselves, empower yourselves, get yourselves the tools to say, to then decide what you watched just now. Is it one or the other? Is it propaganda or not? Propaganda hai, nahi hai, ye hamare upar hai. It's completely down to us, and it's completely down to us how to receive that. Once you've received that image, it's not coming into us. We are not tabula rasa. We have brains. right? So that brain has to be exercised, the heart, the mind, the brain, everything comes together when we're watching a film. And when you see that film, right, and you see what it's trying to say, is it setting up a conversation with you? Is it saying something? Is it saying something you want to hear? Or is it antithetical to the way you think? Is it making you think? All of these things, whether it is, a completely leave your brains behind outside the theater door, or it's like something like this, which has a cerebral point of view, it doesn't matter. All films, we bring all our faculties to watch a film. And I think it's a question of, did that film say something to me? Did it move me? Did it give me another point of view? Did it transport me? These are the questions that you ask when you see a film. So when people talk about, should I see a film or should I not see a film, I will ask you, do you like Mexican or do you like Chinese? How do I know? I feel all food is great, all films should be watched, everything should be watched. Then make up your mind, because you, the viewer, you have the power. You buy that ticket. Nobody else does it for you.
So jao, har film dekho and then decide for yourself. On that lovely thought, we will end this discussion. Thank you so much, Shubhra.